let's just sew whatever. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are cutting out the Duncan messenger bag? Yeah, messenger sling bag. This is the Bag of the Month Club pattern for March of 2023. This bag will be available to purchase outside of the subscription in about 6 months, I believe. But it's a really nice size bag. I had so much fun making this bag. I did make some changes, and I will be making changes in this video that differ from the pattern just because it's me. So I thought I would give a quick overview. There is a zipper pocket on the front of the flap. There are these fun little buckles with magnetic snaps underneath. And then you have this gusseted front pocket with a slip pocket. And then even in here, there is a slip pocket that gets top stitched to the front panel of the bag, and then we add this cargo pocket. The method used to add the gusset is super fun. It's a really great method. There's this cool little overlay that you add your magnets to. I think that gives a nice stability and structure. The flap does have a finished edge here that you top stitch on. And I added a little woven label right there. I thought it was kind of fun. The change I'm going to be making in this video is to the buckles. I think this works well, what she has, but it's super finicky and not my style. So I decided to cut a piece that's a little bit different, that has a magnetic snap that we're going to put in the seam of the top of the flap. It's just going to clean it up visually for me. It was not my favorite, and that is okay. I think there's all kinds of ways to make a bag. So that's what we're going to do. I added foam to the back panel and did just the smallest quilting. I can't remember what was happening that I mismeasured that, but it's for me, or I'll sell it super cheap. I'm not worried about it. So I added foam there. I added Theratex self-adhesive interfacing to the gusset, and it feels incredible. I did finish this bag with binding. It was last night at like 12:30, and I was losing patience, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and finish this with binding. And 10 out of 10 will do that again in this video. I'm thinking I'm gonna add a padded sleeve here, because I think that would fit a laptop. But in the pattern, it does have a little flap closure to seal it closed, which is part of the buckle pieces and accents, etc. And if you have a cutting machine, you can use the SVG files to cut those out, and you're going to save yourself like an hour of trying to cut out those perfectly. I love the handle. I love the back, how you have a D-ring. You can put that on either side, and I did think it wore comfortably. There is a handle that we're going to be adding, but instead of using the handle overlay piece, I'm going to be cutting a piece that's 6x3 just to wrap around. Again, those little finicky things for me, not my favorite, but I understand as a Bag of the Month Club, they use a lot of fancier techniques maybe. And I don't know that it's meant for people who sell bags for a living. It's for people who make bags and challenge themselves for fun. So I absolutely love that about the Bag of the Month Club subscription, but I'm all about finding ways that make it quicker, easier, etc. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into cutting. As I'm cutting, I'm going to be trying to point to tell you which piece is which, so that you know, as you're cutting it, kind of what you want it to look like. Because I think what I'm going to do is have most of this be like a waterproof cotton, and then have my gusset be the vinyl again. I think it'll look really nice, and then the back panel be the vinyl. I'm not sure though. We're going to play around. The vinyl I used for this bag is something I'll be releasing soon called a mid-weight vinyl. And it sewed beautifully. I don't have any interfacing on like the flap, and I have water resistant canvas lining it. You wouldn't want anything super thick because the vinyl adds some structure there. The original pattern had you add fleece to this front piece. I think she's omitted that, so that's good because it got super bulky. And my front pocket is crooked, but it was midnight. Let's not talk about it. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't fall over because it might. So let's go ahead and get started. There is a sheet with measurements for the square pieces, but as it says, there are pattern pieces included for everything. So if you are not a fan of patterns that don't have that, the measurements given, etc., you're in luck. You'll love this. I always love Jenny's patterns. The way they're written out makes sense to me, and they're just great. Okay, so let's just go down from the exterior fabric. We'll follow the cut list. This is video number 1 I'm filming today. Well, number 2. So I'm a little trying to figure out where to get started. So yeah, let's go down the cut list. We need 2 main panels, which are behind this front panel and behind, they're in the back. So I think I'm going to cut one out of my vinyl to be the back piece, and then have my front flap be all of this waterproof cotton. And then I'll do the back panel, the waterproof cotton, and kind of do a little bit of quilting. You don't want to do too much or you'll risk the size of your piece varying. If you are not a fan of cutting on the fold, you could go ahead and print out 2 and tape them together. I don't mind cutting on the fold. Ooh, that's a nice little scrap there. Fold this over just a bit more. I thought that the front pocket was super fun. We will just need to remember, if you are adding your buckles the way I have in the front, in the bag we're making in this video, to not sew your flap together before basting those in the seam. Alright, so I'm gonna use clips to hold on the fold, and I'm just going really slow around those curved edges. I am using one of my Luxe vinyls that has a microfiber back. My brain is just moving faster than my mouth can. No coffee. Alright. So this here will be my front panel, which I am going to fuse the self-adhesive Theratex to. However, you could use foam as well. So I'm just going to set this on my heat press for now and cut out of my cotton, waterproof cotton. This is a fabric I'm kind of testing out. It has a cotton feel to the front of it, but still has like that waterproof backing, and it does repel at the very least. And you would not need to interface this. It's really thick. It's not like excessively thick, but it's thick. All right, what did I drop? Maybe it was just a clip, but it felt like more. Okay. So this is the back of my bag. I am using water-resistant canvas to line the bag. Again, it's going to add a little bit of structure, but not a ton, and it's going to make it super easy to bind because we're not going to be dealing with a ton of dense fabric. And so this back panel, I'm going to be adding fusible foam to it. very pretty. And now I've cut everything I need to out of my exterior for this. I've got my 2 exterior, oh, I still need lining, etc. But I'm going to set this underneath my lining over here in another pile because I don't need it until I work on my lining. So let's keep going down our cut list. If we need to, we can use tape, packing tape, or if you have a laminator, you could laminate. But this will help me just mark off with a little dry erase marker what I cut, what I need to cut. And this is just what I've done for years and years, so it works. Dry erase. If I had one, Dorothy always takes those. So I got my 2 main panels. So now we need our main gusset bottom. And I was going to use vinyl for that. I've got some scrap pieces that won't do. So we'll take this one. This is a flawed roll, but it'll work for me. I always get first dibs on the flaws. Yay me. Alright, so this piece is 27 tall. So I have a 24-inch ruler, which means I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. I'm going to count 3 high and lay my ruler there. And then we'll see. Does anybody else still count? Like, I can very clearly read the ruler, but I'm still like, I'm going to count it out. And you're pretty much going to use your best judgment on what interfacing you would like to use. If you do decide you want to cut fleece to interface your gusset, etc., just make sure you cut it out of the seam allowance. So you're going to want to cut it 1 inch smaller for the measurement given. So let's just say if the main gusset were 22 by 4.5, we would want to cut it to 21 by 3.5 and fuse it centered onto the panel. That is in no way the measurement of the gusset. I just didn't want to give it away. Main gusset bottom. I have cut 1 from my exterior fabric. So now we're going to cut the 2 main gusset tops. So that's this part right here next to your zipper. Let's say you wanted this to be your print and this to be a solid. You could totally do that. But I think I'm going to do this as my solid vinyl. And like I mentioned, there are pattern pieces given for all of these, but I don't know that I used to be, but I have definitely become like a ruler, using my ruler to cut kind of human. Alright, so I'm just double checking my measurement. Measure twice. Cut once. Oh, I did not pick out my webbing. That's gonna be a thing. Here's my main gusset top. Front pocket main. So this is now my front pocket main. This is what my slip pocket gets attached to. So you're really not going to be seeing much of this. So keep that in mind. If you're using a really fun, expensive print, you may just decide to use a solid print for that. I think I'm going to end up using my vinyl for it. This vinyl isn't super, super thick. And with my lining being fairly lightweight and my accent fabric not being too much, I think we could get away with that. Okay, I think that'll fit right there. And this is going to add structure and omit the need for fleece. Not that I think there's fleece still used in it, but just spitballing here. Ah, man. This is like ½ inch too short there. Bummer. So I lined up the straight side that needs to be cut on the fold, and then the bottom straight edge. All right, and then while I'm here, I'm going to leave this folded, and I'm just going to take my rotary cutter and just barely make a little notch at the centers. Anytime you're at your cutting table, just take the extra couple of seconds to mark out your centers. It's so much easier. Oh yeah, it's gonna look so pretty. All right. So then we have our front slip pocket, which is where we fold the front main pocket down at that dashed line. And this is where I'm going to cut out a little bit more of my waterproof cotton. Now you don't see a ton of this, but you do see the bottom. This is this pocket right here. I would say this bag is like a good 2-day sew. You might want to get through the front pocket and then call it. And then you might want to get through adding the front gusset, call it, and then finish off the bag. Alright, so that's going to be the front pocket there. Front main pocket, front slip pocket, and then we have our pocket gusset bottom and top. I am going to use the canvas for this. You don't want this to be super thick because of the way it gets folded. It's a really, really cool technique, like I said, but it can get bulky if you're not careful with your material choices. Somebody else keep these? You're like, I'm not going to use that ½ inch of fabric. Alright, let's find a good straight edge. Here we go. I'm going to be cutting this a little bit wider than I need at the moment, just so I can get a nice straight two sides, and then come in and line up this side. Go. Okay. And then later on, this piece needs to get folded on itself, so I'm just folding it now, just to give it a little bit of memory. All right, so that's that piece. You do not need a lining of that piece. It folds on itself and becomes its own lining. It's really cool. It is a method I have seen on Miko Craft's channel. Not that it's necessarily his method, of course, but it's just one I've seen there. Okay, and now this one is, yep, looking good. And this is the pocket gusset top. So the two pieces I just cut are here and here. So I'll show you on the inside. I kind of messed this up as far as seam allowances go, so it got a little weird. But you can, yeah, you can see here I messed up. I didn't quite catch it, but you baste it into place, you fold it over, you don't top stitch, you measure, fold the other raw edge up, and then fold that on itself. So it gets folded quite a bit. It can get a little bit bulky, but it looks really, really nice. So just be careful of the vinyl fabric you are choosing for that section. And then I'm just going to go ahead and really quick mark right now with a silver marking pen, a 3/4 inch line, because you have to add it later. So this is the side we're not adding the zipper to. It'll just save me time later. All right. Pocket gusset top is done. So now we're on to the front flap main. This piece here, it gets pieced together. So if you want it to be all one print, you could do that. If you want this to be an accent, this to be an accent, you could do that. I want mine to be all one, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces for that come together along with the back and your two lining pieces. I'm just trying to think, how do I want this to look? I'm going to be using the blue vinyl for my buckles, and instead of my buckles being on the exterior of the bag, I'm going to have them sewn into that seam. So I guess, I don't know, I'm kind of thinking I want the bottom of the flap, the front flap bottom, I'm thinking I want that to be my blue, and then I'll do the top as the print, the front main as the print, and that side piece as the print, and then we'll do the back as the print. It's not going to be too bulky. We're going to have our lining, so I think that's a great plan. How about you? Yeah, I think that's great. All right. So there is a pattern piece given, but it's also square. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it. I'm trying to think if there are any other straight cuts I need for this bag, but I don't. So just to verify the orientation, I like it. And then if you want this to be like a continuation of the print, kind of like I have here, you can cut them right next to each other, but keep in mind you're going to lose your seam allowance. So if you want the print to be like fussy cut, just account for that. I'm not going to tell you how because I don't really know. Then the front flap side is the next piece, and that is the same height but a different width. So yeah, you can kind of play with what that will look like. There we go. And then what I like to do is just clip those together for now in the orientation I want them to be. Or if you have double-sided tape close by, you could add your double-sided tape. Dorothy was playing with this earlier, so I'll go ahead and use it. This will save us time when we get to our machine. I kind of want to make it a habit to taping more at my cutting table because it saves time from like that motion of grabbing your tape while you're sewing. Alright, so there's that part. So then we need the front flap bottom, which I said I was going to use vinyl for. I have my main and I have my side. I need to get the top cut. And I think the way this bag comes together is really, or the front flap comes together, I should say, is really genius because it gives room for error, which is always nice. Especially if you are newer to bag making and have a tough time with seam allowances. So this is the top of that flap, so I'm just going to lay it in the pile with the top and cross that off. And then we'll cut our flap back. If you came to my channel hoping for English, I apologize. I speak nonsense. So, love that for us. When I made my front flap, my seam allowances were just a little bit off. But because the flap back is a set size to what it should be, I was able to trim down the front of the flap, and it worked out really nicely. And again, I am not going to be adding any interfacing to the flap. It is thick enough. Mic check. Okay. Okay, flap back. And I don't need my lining cut out of this or anything, so I'm just going to put it in a stack of done pile. And then the last thing we need to cut out of the exterior fabric is the strap panels. There's 2 of these. cut on the fold, and that is this piece here. So now I'm like, do I want this out of vinyl? No, I think I want it out of the waterproof cotton. Or you could cut it out of both. If you had like an accent fabric that you're using, you could cut one piece out of one, the other out of the other. It does kind of come up around your shoulder a little bit, so if you wanted to add padding, I feel like you could, but it would be adding bulk to your seam allowances, so just be mindful there. So there's this piece, and if you wanted to just rough cut the other side, I think that's a good idea. I'm gonna do this. I've got this scrap here, so I'm gonna clip along the bottom. And then I'm just going to cut out the rest. And then we're going to be sewing our webbing into this piece. You can see there. And it is wide enough that I feel like if you wanted to add 1.5 wide webbing, you could. And I am, yeah, there we go. I was like, how do you put this on? I forgot. Just so you can kind of see. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking 1.5 wide might be nice. So if you have webbing that matches, you could do 1.5 here, 1 inch here. Okay. So that is the strap panels. And now we need to get the front flap bottom cut. Perfect. This is cut on the fold. I'm just cutting the one really quick. I totally just realized I never added a nameplate to this bag. And I think if you're going to, through this front flap section would be a really nice place. It would accent the buckles really well. So I think I will try to remember to do that. Stay. Okay. Front flap, bottom. Got it. Yay. This strap piece here is another one. We don't need any additional pieces, so we'll just lay it in our pile. Front flap side, front flap bottom. Pocket top gusset, pocket bottom gusset. Oh, front pocket accent. We're on the contrast fabric pile. Hopefully you're hanging in there with me. Okay, front packet. I think I will give up on words indefinitely. Alright, so this is 8 3/4 by 1 inch. So use the longer side of my ruler. And you want to make sure you cut this really straight. Because this goes on the front of your slip pocket. Alright, so the other things mentioned are the 2 handle accents. I am going to omit this part. I'm not a fan of the way that kind of looks, I guess. With the raw edges, I would want to clean that up. So I'm going to do a 6" by 3" piece of vinyl and wrap that around the handle, kind of like the Guardian. So we'll have our webbing under and do a little tri-fold situation. I did not add a handle to this one. Again, it was midnight and I was like, no, I hate this. So yeah, I think we'll add a little grab handle there. So I'm just going to go ahead and set this in my hardware bin for now. Alright, so we got one of those. And then there's 6 tabs, which I am not cutting any of those. 6 buckle pieces, I am not cutting any of those. If you are cutting the buckle pieces as directed from the pattern and you don't have a cutting machine, I would suggest cutting 4 really precisely, because the way they're attached is encompassing the flap, and then there's one that is hidden underneath here that holds your magnet. So I spent hours cutting them out, and then I had to like trim off a piece, and I was like, wait, what? No. So it works, there's nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't my jam. So what we're going to do instead is we are going to cut 2 pieces of vinyl that are 2 inches wide by 6 3/8 of an inch long. So I can definitely get this out of scraps. And we are going to have these folded into the center, so you still want to use a non-fraying material. So 2 inches wide, 6 3/8 of an inch long. And this is going to get sewn into the front flap of the bag. Okay, that is scrap. Is this long enough? It is. Yay! Alright, I have double-sided tape here in front of me, so I'm going to go ahead and fold these. Well, we'll tape them for now. And then I'm going to go ahead and mark out, just so I've told you here, and I'll tell you in the sewing video in case you miss it. We're going to mark a hole at 1 3/8 of an inch down. This is going to be the top. Okay, so that's going to be a hole that we punch out. The next one is going to be where we place our magnet, that is at 4 3/8 of an inch down from the very top. So I'm going to mark a little plus sign here. That's where the magnet's going to go. And then we're going to have one more hole punch that's at 5 3/8 of an inch. So that'll be a dot. So what I'm thinking we want to do is we're going to want to add our magnet before we fold this so that we don't see where the magnet is attached. If you are using riveted magnets, I would say wait until the very end and then attach it through there. Oh, because here is what it's going to end up looking like. We're going to have a 1/2 inch within our seam allowance. We're going to have our magnet right there. And then we're going to sew down at the end or even just add a rivet. I think I might be doing a little rivet because it'll still clear that section. So you've got a raw edge down here, but it is within the buckle and fully wrapped around it. And then it'll be just tucked into the seam allowance, making it less hectic to sew on those tabs. Because I was like, so it's up to you if you want to top stitch both sides of the fold. I think if you're going to do that, you won't really be able to add your magnet and hide the washer. I'm sure there's other ways you could add the buckles, etc. This is what Jenny had started with and what I kind of did on my own. So I apologize. Y'all know I can't always do as I'm told. Alright, so there's those two. I want to be careful that my markings don't wash away. And I'm going to attach this in that pile as well. Alright, moving along, because that was our buckle pieces, we would be going to our lining fabric, fusible fleece, and seatbelt webbing. So I don't think I need any more of my waterproof cotton. So I can fold it to the best of my abilities. I think I might pick out my webbing really quick though. Oop, don't forget this. I need that buckle. Alright, for our binding, I'm going to be cutting out the one strap that's 36 inches long. And this I'm going to use 1.5 inch wide webbing. So that is my strap, which means I'm going to need a 1.5 inch slider and a 1.5 inch snap hook instead of the 1 inch. That was hilarious. And then I have this bright blue 1 inch webbing I think I'll use for the connectors and the handle. So for the handle, we need one piece that's 10 inches long. And then I need, it says 3 pieces that are 1 by 5, but I am not going to be adding the magnetic snap to the lining. It's a really cute idea. I think it's smart, but I don't want to cut those finicky pieces. So there is all of that. I think those go nicely together. Okay, now we can move on to our lining fabrics. And now we can clean up our exterior pieces. I was thinking about doing a zipper pocket overlay for the lining. Let's see. How wide is this piece? 9.5? 9. Alright. So I'm going to cut a piece that's 9 by 2 for my overlay. I'm going to measure 3/4 of an inch in from all the edges. I feel so bad. I've bought so many like overlay tools to help me with this, but I've really found what feels like the quickest way for me to do it. So it's just 3/4 of an inch from all edges. I use a rotary cutter on the longest side, and I just get as close as I possibly can to my short lines and just snip with one movement that overlay. So I think it looks good. And then you could keep this for a zipper pull. So there is my zipper overlay. That is not part of the pattern. That's just my own little adage. So we can keep these to make something that matches later on. Kind of clean up our rulers here. I will need my large ruler, but I don't think, oh no, yeah. I'll need this one, but I won't need the others. I may as well use this. I cut it from my other one and didn't use it, but it'll look fine on the lining of this one. I'm still debating on if I want to add fleece to this slip pocket, or foam I should say. I've got foam on this and like it doesn't feel too much, and so long as it's cut out of your seam allowances, it's not going to be an issue when you're adding the binding. So I feel like I'm going to do that. Something else that might be kind of nice if you have several tech things that you're traveling with and you don't want them right next to each other is to cut 2 more slip pocket pieces and put a slip pocket on the back. I have that with one of my backpacks, and I love being able to put my iPad in one and my laptop in the other, and then they're still padded and protected. Just a thought. All right, bye. Okay. Might still need this. All right, when you're working with the water resistant canvas, the wrong side holds white marks. No white mark here. So this is the right side of the fabric, which usually is a little bit silkier feeling, and the other side is a little bit rougher feeling. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my gusset pieces. Since this is a fresh piece of fabric, it'll be easiest to start there. And then make sure you account for your selvage pieces. So I'm just cutting it to the width I need it to be. Glad I measured again. That was an inch too short. I was like, wait a minute. So there is our gusset bottom. One of those. So main gusset bottom, main gusset tops. And then we've got a couple of other squares we can cut. We've got 4 9x8. Well, technically 2 for me because I had 2 left over from the other one I cut. And this ruler is 8 inches wide, so I'm good there. And then these are going to get placed right sides together. So I'll just do that now. Okay, and then we need 2 of the front flap main pieces from our lining. I've got a little section up here I could cut into for that. If you are feeling too lazy to measure, you can always place your pattern piece on your ruler and just do a bit of a rough cut. Or you could even just cut around your pattern piece. Now these are also going to be attached to a zipper. So while I'm here with my double-sided tape, on the right side of the lining, I'm going to place my double-sided tape. And there is our front flap main pattern piece, ready to go. Every time. And now I need lining of my front main and my front slip pocket. So I'm going to flip this over so it's right sides together. When I lay the pocket down like this, I'll just rough cut that. I'll keep these clipped together. Okay, so it's our front slip pocket and our front pocket main. So it is quite a bit of pieces, but it really does come together nicely. So now for my main lining, instead of folding the pattern piece, I'm just going to trace around this one. I can clip these together, help me hold it all in place. And there are two of our lining pieces. That's our two main panels. And then we just need to cut out the interior slip pocket. And then we're on to our fusible fleece. Which may be not in the pattern. We'll see. I'm not sure. It is in flux. So I need a total of 2 of these. So for the first one, I'm going to trace around this carefully. And then for the second one, I'm going to lay it down on the lining, find a straight edge, and cut around. And I'll save that in my scraps. Okay, so that is all of our fabric cut. Yay! Alright, I am doing foam on the front and the back of mine. I decided I like it. Oh. I like the little bit of puff it gives. It gives structure. The self-adhesive Theratex is going to give a lot of strength along the sides, and I don't think I need that strength on the front. I added it to this one At least I think I did. No, I didn't, because it didn't. It did call for it. I'm not feeling it though. No, I remember cutting it. We're gonna add foam. It'll be good. Because the binding wasn't too bad to add with it. Okay. Can you stay there? Thank you. And then it's up to you if you want to actually fuse it or if you just want to have it kind of set there. This is going to be my front. And this will be the back. And I will be just adding, I think, quilted lines on the back every couple of inches. If you quilt too much, you're gonna shrink the pattern piece. So I'm only gonna be adding a couple of lines. You could go straight down or angled. I think angled looks really nice. So I'll fuse it and then we'll add those. But I did like every 3 inches. And like, it's not a lot, but it's just a little bit. I think I got that idea from Shinova of Nova's Knits. Just keep falling over, that's fine. So there's our main panels, and then we just need the main gusset top, main gusset bottom and tops. And that's going to be my self-adhesive Theratex. This is from Fabric Therapy. This stuff is really cool. And this I do cut out of the seam allowances. So again, we're going to take whatever that measurement is and just shrink it by 1 inch. And I do keep one of these for straight cuts and one of these for round cuts. Because I'm crazy. This does have a paper backing and it is sticky. If there's wrinkles, they won't stay when you're pressing it on, so don't worry about that. And now you don't want this 1 inch shorter on all sides, just on the top and bottom measurements, or the side and bottom measurements. Technically it's a 1/2 inch shorter on all sides, but you add that up and it's 1 inch, if you didn't know. Okay. And I'm just kind of cleaning up really quick. and then we'll press that interface on. I actually did not need my heat press on. Well, no, I do, because that's right. I'm going to fuse my fleece. Not adding any, I just don't know about the foam on the laptop sleeve thing. It would be nice. It might be nice. It might be nice to have foam in your laptop sleeve. Okay, so this is the zipper panel gusset piece, and here is our Peltex, nope, self-adhesive Theratex. There we go. Go ahead and press these really quick. I like to add a little bit of water. You can't see, but yeah, you can. Spray the back of the foam. Press that. For anywhere from 10 to 20 seconds. It doesn't get it perfectly, but I'm not trying to. You can also fuse this, but I usually don't. I'm like, well, it's peel and stick, it'll be fine. But definitely keep it out of the seam allowances because it is sticky. I did quilt through it once and it did gum up my needle. And then you can just peel the paper backing off. And I would just start with a little bit unpeeled, lay it in place. It is repositionable if you need it to be. And don't pull on it too much or it'll kind of stretch out, because this is like a dense batting. So it has some stretch to it. And it does something. Man, I love it. I don't use it a lot because it is super expensive. So that's up to you. You could also, I don't know, Decaville Light just seems like too structured for this, but it depends on your materials. What I really like about the look of this bag is it is very unisex. Like, obviously the one I'm making is very floral, which doesn't mean any particular person couldn't carry it. It would just be, my thoughts are more feminine. But again, it doesn't matter. But you could really dress it up, or you could make it classy or fun, which is always nice to have that versatility. All right. You could also use a little needle or like a weeding tool to help you. My nails are a little blunt at the moment. So you can see any of those creases that were initially there are pretty much gone. You can't see that. All right, so I'm gonna fuse this one really quick. Well, I lied. I don't think I'm going to add foam to my front panel. I think with the vinyl being thicker, it's going to be just fine. So just to give you a rundown on the way the front panel is constructed, just because I would have liked to know when I was cutting, I'm going to add the foam to the padded laptop sleeve, is this pocket gets sewn into a slip pocket and gets attached to your front panel. And then we're adding our gusset, etc., to the front pocket. This gets placed over top of that and sewn in, which creates that slip pocket there. Which is really cool because then it's reducing bulk on this piece here. But if you wanted to add another slip pocket to the back of this lining piece, you probably could. I think the Lynn Sport has something like that. So yeah, it's definitely an option. This is just a really good way to reduce the bulk in that. But since we're not adding fleece to that anymore, who knows? You could try it. So there's that. And then the front slip pocket gets that little accent piece, magnets added. And then we've got our front flap. Honestly, I'm like organizing the pieces as I'm saying everything. So here's our flap, flap. And then the flap is going to get attached and sewn down this way, and then it folds down. And then we'll have our buckles hanging over the edge. It's gonna look so nice. I'm getting excited. Getting very excited. And then lining, whatever. It's got pockets. Cool. Who cares? These are the front gusset pieces. This goes here. We'll need that for marking. This is our strap handle there. Looking good, looking good. So what I would do before you get started sewing, if this seems very overwhelming, is just to take it little bite-sized pieces at a time and go slow. Make sure you've got all of your hardware ready to go. Everything's fused properly. I'm talking to you, Lauren. Fuse your stuff, okay? Okay. Alright, yeah. I'm going to fuse this here. Got a little scrap piece. I could add that to something. Oh, I could even add that to this little guy. That could be nice. But I am going to trim this down out of my seam allowances because I do not want to bind through 2 layers of foam. That does not sound like a good idea to me, so all I'm going to do is just carefully trim this. Since we're adding binding, our seam allowance have kind of changed from the original pattern, but I did not notice any issues with that change. So I don't think it would be a problem. And that is everything. I hope you make the Duncan messenger sling. It is a really cool pattern and it's going to be a lot of fun to sew it up. So I hope you join me next week, or if this video is already released, in the next video.